Hi, everybody. Welcome to Music City's Conversations. We are traveling quite far today. I'm thrilled to say I have one of our speakers from Music City's Chengdu here, Isabella from Kuala Lumpur. Isabella, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, Shane. Thank you for having me on a conversation. I'm Isabella. I now work for Kuala Lumpur City Hall. I am the head of music. Yeah, we are well here. There's this restricted movement order put in place since the 18th of March. So we've been sitting at home, so-called work from home. But yeah, we haven't got used to it really.
Yeah, no. Well, so take me through a day, right now. What is a day as the head of music at Kuala Lumpur City Hall in the face of this challenge that we have?
Oh dear. I mean, I could tell you what we do before the RMO, but I mean the restricted movement order, yeah. Before that, we will be arranging concerts, where to play, what to play, working with the musicians and working out with the people outside of City Hall. And and training, in-house training, to what can we do better. And now that the RMO is in place, initially we wanted to get on with, we still want to get on with some online activities, some recordings and stuff. But with an orchestra, with many people coming together, it's probably very difficult.
Can't do that. Yes.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, then it's more of the technology than the musicianship. It's no longer how well you play the violin or the flute. It's more like how well you cope with the technology, the recording, and the fact that some of the bandwidth issues here, not always, but sometimes you have to deal with it, and that doesn't make it any easier at this time. So no, we haven't done any online thing, but we are working on it.
Yeah, so kind of, I always like to focus these conversations on positive things, on opportunities. I'm the eternal pragmatist, we always say, and an optimist. And I think that, this crisis has shown that we have some infrastructure challenges in music.
Yeah.
And, what do you think the opportunities are then in Kuala Lumpur to respond to the crisis so that when we come out of it, there's a better ecosystem for musicians in the city?
I was looking at one of the initiatives, not by the City Hall, but by an NGO. And they call themselves the Persatuan Music Tradisional Malaysia, that roughly translated to be the Association of Traditional Music Traditional Music and Musicians in Malaysia. They were doing a Google form thing, a survey, and telling people who are or who may be impacted, who suffering from this RMO, to come and register. And can you imagine how many actually sign up, and we were just looking at the latest figure. This is by an NGO, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the latest figure actually coming near to 2,000. And we are like, huh?
Wow.
I mean, if at all, this is something that the number tells us that there are actually a lot of musicians out there working, whether full-time or part-time. I mean, they could be doing something else to help with the livelihood. But the point is, there are actually nearly 2,000 musicians, freelance musicians, who actually put their names on the form and say, hey, I am adversely affected by the RMO. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, to answer your question, that was the one thing that we just realized that, oh, okay, there are actually many musicians out there working I think you know what I mean. Yeah.
Well,
Usually In the radar, you will be just looking at the Malaysian Philharmonic Orchestra, another 100 people, the Kuala Lumpur City Hall Orchestra, another 100, or with the broadcasting station, the Radio TV Malaysia, how many people are there? You know what I'm saying? You are just looking at the, obviously, or should I say, the salaried musicians. Yes, and whereas in effect, there are many musicians out there.
Yeah, it shows that we have to change our understanding of who our constituents are, right? I would say maybe is that something like the traditional forms of supporting music in many cities are, as you say, supporting the orchestras, supporting those types, and that needs to continue. But this may be. Do you think that this is potentially an opportunity to look at it in a wider sense?
No. An opportunity, obviously. I mean, first of all, we now realize that there are more people than what we realized before. Yeah, there are more people who are keen and would like to take music as a profession, like take it to work professionally. Yeah, that's one thing. But now, how do we take it forward? It is not clear at this point, like not from the policy part of the sense, because that, very well, that it's going to take a long time, and like getting everyone to sit down and to discuss and blah, 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 that is going to take a long time.
Yeah.
But realizing the fact that there are actually nearly 2,000 people who had come forward and say, hey, we work in music. So that alone, it's something interesting to say the least, because we kind of expected that, because in the past 10 years or so, there are more music schools who had started in Malaysia. Before that, it was like, if you remember, musicians have to study music in England, in Europe, in America. Now you can even study music in Malaysia and this part of the world. Now, I'm still not answering the question, but you can see that we see that there's an opportunity, but it is not clear to us like what would the concrete steps, next step. Obviously, there would be more conversations. You would talk about it and then look at some of the things that we can do immediately. We can, the government, for example, they're giving us some money, some pocket money. They call it the initiative of, what do they call it? Prihatin Nasional. In other words, something that would help.
Defining music differently is a good way to start potentially, right? That's the thing that we're realizing. Maybe this this crisis expands this definition of what music is, and that will require policy in the future to reinforce.
Yeah. And yes. So the education part has started. In other words, there are more music universities, there are more academies, and music education are being formalized at this point. But in terms of policy as an industry, it is still not clear at this point.
Yeah, I from my trips there as well, you see the talent everywhere, but it's not thought of yet in that way. And maybe this is the opportunity. Because we're all kind of taking a step back and thinking about what we're doing in the context of supporting musicians.
Yeah.
Right. And what are the, has there been more engagement across different genres, across different groups of musicians? Are you noticing more collaboration online?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For example, the City Hall has started registration for buskers, for street musicians,
Fantastic.
for street artists. Yeah. And in other words, they come in and we talk to them and say, hey, you know, don't play too loud, not beyond midnight or something like that. Don't throw rubbish around, you know, little things like common sense. But just to remind people, and apparently there's a thriving industry in the tourist areas. So again, it goes back to the fact that yes, it's no longer music. It's no longer just at the Philharmonic Hall, or it's no longer just at a not just in concert halls anymore. People get to enjoy them more at restaurants, at public spaces. Mm.
Yeah, no, well, it's, you know, maybe that's definitely an opportunity. And, you know, one of the things that we always ask in the Music Cities conversations and is, you know, what's something that you've learned the most out of the last couple of weeks, that, you know, that you're taking forward in crisis? Like everything has changed so much in 2 weeks. It's, you know, now we're starting to look at the lessons that are being created out of that. And I'm curious where your head is at right now.
If I heard you clearly, like, what is the major takeaway for the past 2 weeks? Yeah, we feel, or at least I speak personally, I feel, I find it quite, like maybe the technology part of it. Well, you mentioned it, you named it, like the infrastructure for the, I mean, specifically the bandwidth issues. We have been thinking and talking about the fact that we want to do recordings from home, you know, all these videos that you see, you know, and we were thinking we can do that too. But the fact remains, it's just not as easy as it seems to be. And in fact, since March 18th, when the RMO took effect until now, we have had to cancel 4 shows, 4 concerts scheduled. Mm-hmm. And I keep discussing with the musicians, you know, like, can we do this online, you know, like at home, from home, you know, and put this together? But imagine, that's like, I just said it now, and I'm going to repeat it. It's like totally a different ballgame. It's like, I mean, so going forward, I mean, like for my other friends who are not musicians, they would say, oh, you know, from now on we can actually consider more towards work from home. But I wonder if that would work for musicians. You know, we still have to meet up and rehearse together and perform together, particularly in the context of an orchestra situation and a bigger ensemble. And even for a small group, you know, you still can't replace the musicianship. I mean, playing together.
Yeah, it's a new challenge, but you know, you're right. You know, where the person I interviewed first for these series, my friend Alan, who runs the BBC concert orchestras, he's been looking at this as well. You know, how can we create an orchestra online? And he doesn't have the answer yet. But on that note, we always ask as well to the people that we're interviewing, you know, what are you listening to right now? Because we're creating a Spotify playlist of, you know, tracks from our conversations. So what music is getting you through these times?
Musicians all around the world. I'm listening to the videos that musicians around the world record from home, and the virtual orchestra work, you know, simply because I wanted to learn how we could do it in this situation.
So, any piece of music to recommend?
It's not something that I would recommend because it's my favorite, you know. So I've been listening to the videos by Berklee College of Music in Boston, mm-hmm. where I attended, and then the RTM Orchestra's videos and a few others. Basically, all the which one is that? The one with New York Philharmonic, was that? from New York, some musicians playing together, and yeah, I mean, if you ask me what's my yes.
Okay, well, we'll pick something from them then. Great. Well, thank you very much for joining us on Music City's Conversations as well.
Thank you.